Okay, can we start?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so any doubts?
So one doubt. Can you explain that self-alienation concept? How a capitalist he will be self-alienated from the process?
Self-alienation, when I have discussed mostly in the context of workers. So they are just going for work by means of survival. There is no chance of expressing your creativity, or there is no scope. You can enjoy the work and you can do the work. You are just doing it just for survival.
Okay, so in case of capitalist, how it will be?
Capitalist is also the situation, the mode of production is designed in such a way that the capitalist is not actually taking decisions or anything with respect to his own interest. Capitalist is also acting according to the system. So if he is not acting according to the system, he will be in loss. So his firm will not be efficient. So nobody will buy from him. So he will be in loss. So capitalist also is not based on his idea or his mind. He is doing all these. He is supposed to act according to the system.
Okay, sir.
Anything else? Any other doubts? All the three theories are okay? Historical materialism, class and class struggle, alienation, all are okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so sometimes the question is about mode of production. You will see in syllabus also. If the question is about mode of production, what you need to write? Theory of mode of production means it is basically historical materialism only. Different modes of production is what he is talking about, right? So in historical materialism, we have understood in two stages or two parts. The first part is actually his idea about society and individual. Second part, his idea about change. So when we talk about mode of production, this theory, this is specifically the second part, this part. So different modes of production that he's talking about, right? Starting from primitive communism to ancient mode of production to feudal mode of production to capitalist mode of production, and then socialism and then communism. So this is his theory of mode of production. But even if you need to answer this theory of mode of production, you need to talk about his idea about society. So that's why I've told you any question that you're going to attempt from Marx, you have to talk the first part, this idea about society, which is related to production process, which is related to forces of production, relations of production, economic infrastructure, social superstructure, being, social being. All these things has to be incorporated even if the question is this, or if it is class struggle, or even in alienation. In one way or the other, all these will come, all these have to be incorporated in your answer. So any Marxian theory, all these things should be there either at the introduction or in the body part somewhere or the other. Anyway, you have to incorporate, accommodate all these contents in your answer which is related to Marx. Okay? So if you don't have any doubts, we can move to critical analysis. So today in this session what I'll do is I'll go for this critical analysis. So we will talk about critical analysis. So we will critically analyze Marx here. So when we talk about critical analysis, I have told you we have already done with this part, introduction part. We have done with the theory part. So this part is already covered. The major part is done. Now what I need to do, I need to follow this, right? CCR. So any critical analysis question, you have to follow this pattern: introduction, theory and CCR. So first we will talk about contribution. So here I'll talk about Marxian contribution. that you can write in all the theories exactly the same you can write. Then we will talk about criticism. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll divide this into two: general criticism and specific criticism. So specific criticisms are for each theory. There are specific criticism like historical materialism, class struggle and alienation. You will have to study the specific criticism, but one or two specific criticism is enough for you. Don't try to study each and everything here. That's not required. It's absolute waste of time. Don't study each and every criticism which is related to each theory. Not required. Even if you're not studying specific criticism, still you will be able to write very good answer by knowing the general criticism. Because any theory you can use the general criticism. I'll tell you around 4 or 5 general criticism that you can apply across in all the questions. So this will be actually enough, and it will be very easy for you to remember also. Okay, once you understood Marx, these are easy, but still I'll give you some specific criticism, but it is not necessary that you need to read 10-15 criticism. Hardly, to the maximum 2 or 3 is enough. Even if you don't know, it's okay. Then we will talk about the relevance. Okay, so relevance of Marx, to what extent the theory is relevant today, or to what extent the future theorists are using these concepts. Okay, all these we will be discussing in relevance. So this is what I'm going to do. So here, what is more important part? If you see here, more important part is this contribution and relevance and this general criticism. This is the 3 most important parts. So for that, I'm going to give you the PDF now, and we will go through the PDF and we will explain with the help of the PDF what is Marxian contribution in terms of theory building, in terms of methods, in terms of perspective. For example, he introduced a conflict perspective. So this is, even though a radical perspective, but it is very helpful in understanding the different dimension of society. We have never understood, religion in a different dimension, or family in a different dimension. So when we talk about family, according to Marx, family is actually an exploitative device. Why family is an exploitative device? Because family is part of superstructure, which is created by the economic infrastructure to help the functioning of economic infrastructure. So because of family only, we all are going to work, and you're working and you're suffering and you're getting exploited. So family is an agent of exploitation, and family also hinders the creativity of individual. Okay, so family is actually created by capitalists. So that is a different view. So what I'm saying is, by using a conflict perspective, even though it's a radical perspective, but still you are getting a different view of any social phenomena. Okay, so we will see the contribution of Marx, and I'll talk about the general criticism and relevance. Specific, I'll give you notes, and we will talk about 1 or 2. That's enough. Okay, so I'm moving towards the PDF now. Okay, can you see this contribution?
Yes, sir.
Okay, around 100 words are there, but from here, this 100 words, you need to pick the best 40 words or 30 to 40 words. That's the maximum. So you read this, and then you should be in a position to pick the 30 words from this. You don't want to write this completely, because when you write this 100 words itself, it will be almost 1.5 page, or at least 1 page. And that's not required. Okay, so you need to pick maximum 40 words in your answer here. So we will just see this. So contribution, although Marxian theories have been criticized on number of accounts, but his contribution to the development of sociological theory, introduction of new concepts, new methods, remain unparalleled. Okay, a general sentence. Marxian theories emerged as a radical perspective in the understanding of society during 19th century. So basically I'm talking about what? Conflict perspective here. Okay, so he introduced a conflict perspective. This contributed a lot towards generation of balanced understanding of societies. Apart from this, Marxian concerns motivated new areas of research and new streams within sociology. For example, sociology of work, industrial sociology, etc., of their origin to the concerns raised by Marx. So even this one single paragraph will do, but even then it will be very much. Okay, that much is not required. So it's up to you to pick the best 30 to 40 words. Marx's contribution must also be analyzed in terms of qualitative changes in the policies of the states during 19th and early 20th century. The welfare legislations of labor, the changes in the nature of capitalism can easily be linked to Marxian theories. In this context, it is said that Marx has saved capitalism. See, this statement, can anyone explain the statement? Why I have made the statement? Can you say why Marx saved capitalism? Marx actually saved capitalism. Why?
Because now a lot of policies have been made for the workers, like for their welfare.
Yeah.
Like the exploitation, like the workers and different things.
Yeah, because of Marxian writings, even the capitalists are also now able to visualize the workers' revolution is possible at any point of time. So they try to prevent all those such kind of situation. So now you can see if you are an employer in a company, the company is providing a lot of benefits like health insurance, education to the children. So a lot of benefits are provided, PF, pension. All these benefits are actually provided by the companies because of Marxian concerns only. Otherwise, the company is expecting, or this otherwise capitalism will not survive. So capitalist actually modified the system, or the system got changed, but capitalism remained the same, but there are some modifications have been happened. So in that context, we can say Marx has saved capitalism, because it is not leading to socialism now. And that situation, see, we have discussed about that mature condition exists, no? That mature condition is not existing now. You understood? So welfare policies of the state also you can trace back to Marxian theories, legislations of labor, all these. Okay? Is that okay? Okay. Now we will see general criticism. I'll briefly talk about what are this general criticism even before also. See, first of all, what do you think? What all ways you can criticize? You can easily tell, once you understood the theory, you can easily tell me what are the general criticisms. Yeah, Rahul, tell me.
So one question, as of now, the current situation, what kind of practices are there in this, society? Is it, I think, a capitalist system, or it's a mix of capitalist as well as socialist system? Why? Because, as you said, there are a couple of welfare programs are,
I'm saying government intervention is more, welfare policies are more.
It's not.
But that doesn't mean that you are moving towards socialism. Capitalism is still there. Now, the question is relevant when you discuss about Indian context. Okay, so we are not talking about Indian context here. When we talk about Indian context, we are a mixed economy. So if you see before 1991, we are a kind of socialist economy, more government intervention. So mixed economy with a tilt towards socialism. You can see, nationalization of everything, banks, financial institutions and everything. So even though it was mixed, there was a more tilt towards socialism. Then post-reform, what happened? 1991, we again a mixed economy, but there is a tilt towards capitalism. But what happened is, if you see 91 onwards, till 2005, if you see the poverty ratio, if you see the unemployment or employment generation, etc., are actually coming down. Employment generation is actually reduced. Unemployment rate increased. Inequality increased. The poverty increased. The reason is, see, when we went for the reform, it is expected that the market will take care of everything. But market won't meet social justice. So all these issues was there. So what happened? 2005 onwards, government started interfering more. So 2005 you can see MGNREGA Act, then Food Security Act, etc. So now the government intervention is more. But that doesn't mean that, socialism. We are not moving towards socialism. It's a mixed economy. So nobody is talking here about moving towards socialism or any mixed economy type. It's all about capitalism. In India it is specific, and we don't want to talk about India. We don't even want to talk about China or Russia also. That's not the socialism or communism that Marx talking about. Marx talking about a communism and a socialism which is entirely different, which is a stateless society, which is a classless society, which is an egalitarian society, which is never ever possible. It won't function. The society cannot function.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So okay, now see, we were talking about what? We are talking about Yeah, general criticisms, right? Can you tell me some general criticism? What do you think are the drawbacks of Marx?
So he has almost neglected the middle class, which is a major chunk in the society.
Yes, that you can say. His concept of class polarization. In fact, I have not included it here. Towards the end, I think I have included this because I am supposed to discuss this in the theory of class and class struggle as a specific criticism. But still, you can consider it as general criticism. Okay, generally, Marx's idea of class polarization is not true. So instead of this structure, the better idea to understand classes like this, right? Diagonal structure, the middle class got expanded. And you can refer to Weber also over there. Okay. So apart from this, anything else?
It's a macro level view from the Marx.
Yes, Marx is talking about, Marxian sociology is a macro sociology, or Marx is a macro sociologist giving importance to society. So Marx is giving importance to society, everything is related to society. So he is actually ignoring the internal meanings, motives, emotions of the individual. So see, you have talked about two criticism now. Now the way you need to write is like this. When you talk about this first one related to class polarization, what you will say, Marx's idea of class polarization has not happened. Instead, the middle class widened. Then you made the statement, now to support this, you need to quote a thinker. So whom you will use here? Weber. You will use Weber here, right? So you can easily use Weber here to substantiate this point. So you have done with one criticism, that's a very beautiful criticism. Second one, macro. So Marx is giving importance to macro. So he is giving importance to society, ignoring micro aspects like emotions, meanings, motives, etc. So that is a partial understanding. So to substantiate this point, who you will use?
We can go to Durkheim.
No, how can you use Durkheim? Durkheim is also a macro sociologist.
Non-positivist.
Non-positivist, any non-positivist you can use. You can talk about Weber. Weber will be best. Okay, even though you use Weber here, it's okay because Weber is always against Marx. Everywhere Weber is against Marx. There is a very famous saying that Weber is writing in the presence of the ghost of Marx. So whatever Weber is talking about, it's always contrary to Marx actually. So you can use Weber here. You can say Weber, according to Weber, micro-sociology or studying internal meanings, motives, etc. are more important. Or you can use any phenomenologist or ethnomethodologist or even Parson or Merton, anyone you can use. I'm not saying Weber, but Weber will be much better here because Weber is showing the transition. And Weber was always against Marx. So it is very easy to use Weber here. Okay? So you are ready now with two criticism. I am expecting that you will never forget these two criticism. These are two general criticism. Apart from this, what else you can use? Apart from this, what are the other general criticism? What do you feel? What are the drawbacks of Marx? Don't talk about specific theory. In general, if you see Marx, what is the problem with Marxian understanding?
The egalitarian, the utopian concept that he has given, right?
That I think it is better to write under the particular theory, no? I think that will be better to write in that particular theory, historical materialism or mode of production. That's a specific criticism. Even you can.
He speaks about conflict, no, sir.
He's talking about?
When he explains about cause of conflict,
Yes.
it takes only the production process as a factor. There are other forces or factors also responsible for the conflict.
Yes. More than that, actually, when you talk about conflict itself, see, Marx is only trying to identify the conflict. He is using a conflict perspective and he is only trying to identify the dysfunctions. But there are many functions. For example, when we talk about family, there are many functions for family. Right? Similarly, when we talk about religion having many functions, so he is trying not to identify the functions and he is only trying to identify the dysfunctions by using this perspective. So it's a partial understanding. So you made a point here. He is using excessive importance to or giving excessive importance to conflict. That's a partial understanding. Now, how to substantiate this? You will use which thinker here?
Durkheim.
You can use any functionalist. You can use Durkheim. You can use Davis and Moore also, right? Davis and Moore theory we have discussed. You can use them. You can use Parson also. All those people were supporting any inequality or everything. So you can use any functionalist here. So best will be Durkheim. Durkheim you can use here. Apart from this, what else you can say? In general, I need only 4. 3 we are already done. I need only 4. 4 or 5 we can do. One more if you can say, it will be fine. So he is a macro sociologist, and I don't think anyone will you face a problem here. Conflict perspective, that's okay. Class polarization never happened. Even if you want, you can talk about egalitarian society issue also, Himanshu, but yeah, Marx is often accused of being a reductionist. Reductionist means he is trying to reduce everything in terms of economic infrastructure. You see, there are superstructural elements also which can create change. When we talked about Hegel, I have told you he used the concept of dialectical idealism. So basically, idea about change. Ideas can actually create change. Yes, Ramesh, tell me. Ramesh, you want to say something? Okay, so ideas can actually create change, and idea of a single individual can transform the society. For example, if you see Facebook, right? All these are bigger changes and that transform society like anything. So even any individual can create changes, right? So he is only talking about economic infrastructure, and he is trying to confine everything to economic infrastructure. So he is giving too much emphasis to economic infrastructure. So his emphasis to economic infrastructure is a big problem. There are elements of superstructure also can cause social changes. Okay, so this much is basically enough, and when we go to the PDF you will find more also, but at least this you should be in a position to write, and I don't think that you will face any problem in writing any of this. His conflict perspective, you know that, and macro, obviously economic infrastructure, I don't think that you will forget it. Even if you want to, you cannot forget this thing if you once learned about Marx. Okay, then this one also. So we are done with this. Okay, so
in the fourth in the fourth one, economic infrastructure, whom we have to put?
Economic infrastructure?
While criticizing that he is giving too much importance to economic infrastructure.
By ignoring the superstructural elements.
Okay.
So superstructure can also play a major role in the change, not only economic infrastructure. Okay? And you can say here, Gangappa, yeah, tell me.
His idea against a division of labor is also not possible.
Idea of division of labor, what is his idea of division of labor?
Idea against the division of labor. He is supporting the total man idea.
Total man, that is specific criticism. No, that is when it comes to alienation, we can criticize that.
Yes.
We can use that. Those are specific, okay. Specific, that is there. But these criticisms, if you see the nature of these criticisms that we have raised here, you can use in any of the theory, right? That's the beauty of those criticisms. If you get any critical analysis, you can use this for. And you don't want to, even if you cannot remember other thinkers, it may be difficult for some of you to remember so many criticisms and so many thinkers. But here, we are not using any extra thinkers. Durkheim you all know, Weber you all know. We are not quoting any other thinker. Here you can talk about Hegel, if you want. That also we have discussed. So this will not be a big problem for you. That's why I have taken these 4 criticisms. And anyone have any doubt with respect to these 4 criticisms? We can discuss it again. Because you should not have. This is a major part. Specific, it can come and go, and whatever text, even if I'm having this book, Essential Sociology, with me, I can refer to this book also. Specific criticism, you will get around 10-12 criticisms. You can go through that, and whatever you remember, 1 or 2 is enough. Okay.
Sir, can we put this point here that is Marx, whatever the theories which is got by Marx now, so these theories are not applicable in the present society, sir?
If you cannot say it is not applicable, because we are going to write in relevance that these theories have some applicability.
But they are not completely applicable.
Yeah, when we criticize, we will say it is not completely applicable. So what we will say is, I am going to raise that point also in the criticism. What happened is, then Marx, see, after Marx, there is Neo-Marxist. Or after Marx, the followers of Marx, that is Marxist, right? Then came some modification over this. So these people are purely followers of Marx and Marx ideas. Then Neo-Marxist. What are they will modify, right? So some modification here. Now comes the critical school or the Frankfurt school. They have modified like anything, and they are saying that the social superstructure also is very important, and they are accepting all those things. So we can't say Marxian theories is not applicable, because the neo-Marxist is directly coming from Marx and it is modified. And till the time poverty and exploitation is there, Marx is always relevant. Never, I don't want to say Marxian concepts are irrelevant or Marxian concepts are not applicable. Maybe communism is a utopian concept, but otherwise his concerns are so relevant, and we don't want to say in any of the thinkers these are not applicable. In criticism, maybe you can tell in a mild tone, but you can't say it is not applicable, because most of the sociologists are, having some emotional attachment with Marx. Even once you have done with Marx, you will also have some attachment with Marx. And that doesn't mean that you will become a Marxist, but you will have, because of the concerns raised by Marx. Okay, so yeah, we will move to the criticism part. Now, I don't think that you'll face any problem here. All we have discussed, Marx is often accused of being a reductionist. He lays overemphasis on material factors over others. Okay, so that's your first point. Because he tends to reduce the process of change to changes in productive forces, whereas nowadays elements of superstructure has the potential to cause change. Moreover, in the present IT-based society, even the ideas of an individual can bring profound changes in society. Okay, second is about that perspective that I have told you, conflict perspective. So Marx has overlooked the equilibrium or the order in society and overemphasizes on conflict. The dynamism is understood only in the context of conflict, whereas a society may change in order to bring equilibrium. See, this equilibrium concept we will discuss when it comes to Parson. I'll talk about this equilibrium. I'll just show you what is that equilibrium now, but that's not required. See, society, there are some social institutions, okay? So they fulfill, the social institution fulfills certain needs, right? For example, when we talk about family fulfills certain needs. Religion fulfills certain needs. Legal system will fulfill certain needs. So these social institutions fulfill needs, and this will result into equilibrium in society. Now, when the equilibrium breaks, what happen will be, there will be a feedback. If there is a violent disorder, law and order problem, or any such problem is there, then the legal system will function properly, fulfill the need, and then bring back to equilibrium. Right? So this society will be always in an equilibrium according to Parson. This is Parson's concept. We will discuss about this when it comes to Parson. So I'm just referring to that only here. So Marx has overlooked equilibrium or the order in society, and he highlighted only the dysfunctions by using a conflict perspective. You can write in your language whatever I have told you, that you put it in your language. Just keep this word conflict. Okay. Later sociologists like Simmel, Coser have analyzed the functional dimensions of conflict. So you don't worry about these thinkers. It is better to use whom? It is better to use Durkheim or Parson or Davies and Moore. Okay. So for you it is always, for not only for you it is better. So for a variety, these two names are given, but these, Durkheim was the best one. After that Parson, or you can use Davies and Moore also. Durkheim argued that certain degree of crime is essential for maintaining social order. At the same time, Marxian analysis of conflict is highly incomplete, as he only talks of conflict at the level of class. So that is also a problem. He is only talking about, conflict at upper class and lower class. But there can be caste conflict, right? So there are many between tribals, and there are many different conflicts are also there. But Marx is not talking about that. A more comprehensive understanding of conflict explains both macro and micro levels of conflict. Okay, then while explaining the cause of conflict, Marx takes into consideration the contradictions in the production process, whereas there can be so many other factors which cause conflict. For example, Dahrendorf in his book Class and Class Conflict in Industrial Society understand conflict in terms of differential authority structures. So that is just an example. You can just write that example if it is required. Otherwise, you talk about Durkheim. That's better. Marx lays on macro aspects of society, ignoring micro. So that is another criticism that we have discussed. micro or internal dimensions in terms of motives, meanings, etc. Max Weber considers understanding subjectivity of the individual. I hope you understood this. So here Weber is giving micro, Marx is talking about macro. Then Marx proposed general theories based on common assumptions. Such generalized theories are rarely applicable in all situations. Postmodernists question the validity of generalized theories and favor micro theories, which are relevant in specific context. Okay, so nowadays we are not interested in big grand general theories. Make specific theories for specific incident based on specific, then you can ensure objectivity. Otherwise it is not testable. All these problems are there. Moreover, it is always argued that Marx failed to visualize the postmodern society and his theories cannot be applied as it is. Yeah, someone of you told me already that one. Marx theory cannot be, he failed to visualize the postmodern, the current society where the capitalism transformed itself. Okay, so this I have told you already. Neo-Marxist and the critical school of thought following the assumptions of Marx, you can add a word here, although is there already. So although following the assumptions of Marx, modified his theories to suit the changing conditions. Critical theorists of Frankfurt School, these people are the followers of Marx only, like Habermas, Adorno, Marcuse, etc., examined the role of elements of superstructure in understanding the capitalist society. Yeah, here I've added that point. Class polarization you can add. So we have already explained this point, so I'm not getting into that now. Okay, so we have done with contribution, we have done with general criticism, and general criticism itself will be enough for you to write a answer. But what we can do is we will go for specific criticism also. Before that, let me complete the relevance part. Let me explain you how can you write the relevance, and then we will move to specific. Okay, so now you see this question, it can be question can be like directly relevance. As you can see here, what is Marx's theory of alienation? To what extent the theory is relevant in the present society? Discuss Marx's theory of historical materialism. Is it relevant today? In all these questions, you need to know relevance separately also. So relevance can be answered in two parts, or relevance of a particular theory can be understood in two parts. So how this particular theory is relevant and to what extent it is not relevant. So in your answer, you should be incorporating this part and this part. So in all these aspects, this theory is still relevant. You can say poverty, unemployment, exploitation of man by man, capitalism, all these are still there. People are working with less wages, more working condition, more working hours, inhuman working conditions. All problems are still there, so it is relevant. Then why it is not relevant, that also we need to discuss. Both has to be there in your answer. So now here I have mentioned what you mean by relevance. Relevance means applicability of the theory in the present context for understanding individual and society. So the first thing that you need to take into consideration is whether Marxian theories are applicable now. Can we explain, or can we use class struggle to explain the current society? Or can we see alienation? I would say you can see more alienation now. So alienation is more relevant compared to class struggle. Class struggle you can't see much now. Okay, so and historical materialism theory that socialism is not came into existence so far. So but alienation is so much relevant, and alienation rather is increasing because of the increase in forces of productions, etc. Then you can see applicability of the theory in understanding specific situations like certain problems like social change. You know how to explain crime, corruption, all these problems. How can you explain with the theory of Marx? And in fact this can also be asked as question. Simply, they will ask you corruption. Explain short note on corruption with a sociological perspective. So, what you need to do, you need to use a Marxian perspective. If simply they are saying, explain corruption in a sociological perspective, you not only use Marx. Otherwise, they will talk about, specifically use Marxian understanding, or how Marxian understanding will help you to explain corruption in society. Okay, because it's all related to economic infrastructure, more importance to money, more importance to all these things you can write. And what about functionalist? When you talk about functionalist, other perspective, you can show the functions of corruption also, because the work is getting done faster. So there are some functions also. Okay, manifest functions are there, manifest latent functions are there. We will discuss about all those things when we discuss about functionalist. Okay, then you can also talk about to the extent of use made by future theorists and planners. So I've already told you the future theorists are consistently using Marxian ideas and concepts, so in that way it is relevant. So in all these ways, what all three we have discussed, right? So here you can have some supporting points. Here also you can explain the problem, social change, etc. Here also you have and then application in future. So Marxian theories are relevant. So all these things has to be incorporated when you talk about relevance. Okay. So this write-up will incorporate all those things. So you can see here, although Marx has been criticized on number of accounts, but his theories are still considered relevant. And various theories like this is you need to write it completely. Whenever you're writing your answer, you have to write it completely. Historical materialism, class struggle, and alienation can be used to understand the society and individual today. Okay. For example, Marxian theories have been applied to understand the emerging world order by world system theorist. Theory by Immanuel Wallerstein is quite famous in this regard. So you just don't worry about this theory now. This we will be doing in the 10th chapter. So 10th chapter, social change, this theory we have to study separately. This theory we need to study, the theory of Immanuel Wallerstein. So you will be in a position to better understand at that point of time. But here we have taken that as an example. Okay. Similarly, Marxian ideas have been found highly relevant in understanding the dynamics of present society. Postmodernists like Baudrillard have used the concept of hyperreality to explain the exploitative system generated by MNCs. See, hyperreality means the kind of false and fake advertisements the MNCs are doing, and they will force you to buy certain products. They may not provide you the actual result or whatever they are claiming, but it's a kind of hyper reality. They create a hyper reality and you will fall for that and you will buy that product. So Baudrillard, that theory is very famous actually, but we don't want to know the theory or anything. You can use just this as an example. Then in the present society, Marxian idea of alienation has been found very relevant. You can even add this word highly relevant, because alienation is most relevant in this current society. Has been found highly relevant in understanding individual and related issues. Various studies on social consequences of use of IT use or use of IT, consequences of IT, okay, social consequences of information technology, use alienation to explain the isolation and the growing psychological disorder due to excessive use of computers, mobile phones, social media platforms, etc. Right? So this is self-explanatory. I hope you understood this. It is a consequence of this, growing IT sector and all these social media platforms, etc. You are alienated, okay, in terms of your creativity, in terms of your friends, in terms of your family also. People rarely talk within family. Only during power cut, people speak now. That too when there is no charge in mobile phone, right? So various crimes like corruption, murders, theft, etc. can be best explained by using this concept. It is said that Marxian theories are always be relevant up till the time poverty and exploitation exist. The relevance of his theory echoes in the welfare policies of states and nowadays a continuous modification in the capitalist society witnessing. So welfare policies of state, that itself will show the Marxian relevance of Marx, and also the changes in the capitalist society. Okay, so capitalism actually modified because of Marx. In this context only, what we have discussed in the beginning, Marx saved, right, capitalism. So because of Marxian concerns, capitalism or capitalists, they are modifying themselves and the system, so that that mature condition will not exist. The labor welfare legislation can be attributed to Marxist ideas. Okay. Apart from these, existing theoretical perspectives frequently use Marxian assumption to develop more practical understanding of society. For example, the theory of class and class struggle is still relevant for understanding the patterns of inequality, especially in the developing and developed countries, right? So this theory is relevant in understanding the inequality. Thus, it is said that howsoever deficient Marxian theories may be in understanding the present reality, still the policymakers and theorists cannot afford to ignore the questions raised by Marx. See, I don't think you can miss, it is a big and challenging task for you to reduce this relevant to 30-40 words. You don't feel like avoiding or missing anything from this what we have discussed here. All are important, but at least this paragraph you have to write. Okay, and even for me also it is very difficult to tell you what to write and what not to write from this. It is very difficult. Okay, but what you need is maximum 30 to 40 words only. That's the problem here. Okay, done. Any doubts here?
Sir, I have a doubt, sir. How will we describe corruption with Marxian theory?
Marxian theory, see, everything, economic infrastructure, you can talk about this economic infrastructure, superstructure there also. So everything is considered in terms of money. Making money is more important. So doesn't mean what means you are following. So it is because of the system only, you are forced to make money. But what Durkheim and functionalist will say, certain rate of corruption is normal in society. It is required. It is fulfilling certain functions also. Because some of the jobs are at least getting done faster.
Okay, sir. And sir, this question, what is Marx's theory of alienation and its relevance? So, sir, in that we have to write about the theory and about its criticism also.
Oh, obviously you need to, if there is some word alienation is there, you have to write the theory.
Criticism also?
Criticism also you need to write. Even though criticism is not asked, you have to write criticism towards the end. Any theory, any concept. For example, simply, now I am just saying in general, for example, they are only talking about positivism. Just talking about, write a short note on positivism. After writing positivism towards the end, at least 1 or 2 criticism you have to write. It is expected. There is no need to ask, critically examine or positivism and its critique. Simply positivism, still you need to write the criticism. Okay.
And sir, in contribution, second paragraph.
Yeah.
When you so what is sociology of work and industrial sociology?
Different new streams I have told you when we discussed about scope also, like clinical sociology, industrial sociology, sociology of health. That means the scope of sociology is actually widening. Sociology is studying many aspects and all these are divided, different thinkers are studying different fields. And because of Marxian contribution only, these fields are emerging. These are mostly Marxist sociologists.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, any example of class struggle in today's society?
Class struggle today's society means we have discussed here in developing developing an understanding within underdeveloped countries. So class struggle is not there, we cannot say, but the ideas that he talked about in that theory, classes are there, that exploitation is there, all those concepts, struggle is not happening in the current society. That level of struggle that we are discussing over there, those mature conditions exist. Rahul, can you turn off your video and mic? Yeah. So that exploitation, mature conditions are not happening. Okay, and what you are asking? I forgot that question. Yeah, class struggle, right? Okay, class struggle, yeah. In developing countries, inequalities are so high in developing countries. So in that way, to understand inequality, you can use the concepts in that particular theory. Not the theory as such completely. That is not possible. But to understand the inequality, the patterns of inequality, the Marxian concepts can be used. Conflict, exploitation, all this. Private property concepts.
Can we quote about any union or association who is struggling to raise their wages or social security?
Union
or association?
Obviously, that anyway you need to write when we talk about class 4 itself. All those will come under class 4 itself. All these union, association, we have discussed already class 4 itself, that they are working for the entire class, for the benefit of the class. When that is a subjective criteria, so that's part of class 4 itself. You have to write that. All these existing unions, associations, all these are part of class 4 itself.
Means we can quote about them.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
There won't be any problem. So for specific criticism, you can take 2-3 specific from any of this. All these are very easy only, and you can fill your answer. So since it is directly there, I haven't taken that. So anyway, you need to read that. Any doubts? We are done with Marx, completed. So all the theories we have done, I am expecting that you will not face any problem in the theory, and we have done with the critical analysis part also. So any doubts?
Could you explain Hegel's idea of
Hegel's concept of dialectical idealism. See, dialectical materialism you understood. Marx is talking, this is dialectical. Dialectics means what? Contradictions present in society. Okay, so every society. Dialectics means what? This is how, let's suppose this is a society, so some contradictions here. So when contradiction is here, this society cannot survive. So there will be a new society, new mode of production will come. How this is coming? Because of ideas, according to Hegel. Hegel says, so see here, this corona thing is there. So coronavirus is there, so new ideas will make it, different education setup. So the entire system is actually changing to new, right? So here also some contradiction will come, so that will change to new. So this is what dialectical idealism. Dialectics means dialectics are present in terms of contradictions. So that contradictions will be overcame through ideas, according to Hegel. But Marx says it is not ideas, it is economic or material condition. Why he is giving because he is giving importance to what? Economic infrastructure, and ideas coming where? Ideas coming in social superstructure. So economic infrastructure shaping superstructure. So Marx says even these ideas are also shaped by the changing material conditions. So what is actually the reason? It is a change in material conditions. It is simply because of capitalism and this system, that is a material condition. I am using this. Otherwise, do anyone will go for these new technologies and all these things and will sit in front of the laptop and take classes? No, right? It is because of the system. That is what Marx says. Ideas will be there, but ideas are why? Why these ideas? Why you are thinking about all these things? Because you can monetize it. That's why Marx says it is not dialecticism is okay, but it is not ideas, it is material condition. So Marx changed Hegel's concept of dialectical idealism to dialectical materialism. It is because of the material condition the ideas are coming to you. Is okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Hello?
Yeah.
So I didn't understand applicability of the Marx theory in understanding corruption.
Marxian concept of understanding corruption is basically, you can say everything is in terms of money, everything is in terms of economic infrastructure. So you try to gain money, your prestige, your everything is actually understood in terms of your position in the production process. So your position in the production process means the lifestyle that you have. So it is only for that you are trying to make more and more money. On one side, that you can talk from the side of the person who is taking money, and the person who is bribing money. Why he is bribing money? Because he is getting something done easily, so he can make unlimited profit with that. Let's suppose he is bribing 10 rupee, he might be making a profit of 100 rupee. So what is the mindset when he is bribing? His mindset is, I can make 90 rupee profit by giving 10 rupee to this person. So it's all about which system? It is all about capitalist system and the capitalist ideology. Not okay. Is that okay?
But how to take this question?
Question that simply they will ask you corruption, explain in sociological perspective. So you can start with what is corruption. This is an entirely different topic, that I should not be talking about in sociology. You should be knowing what is collusive corruption, what is coercive corruption. Collusive corruption means between two people there is an agreement. Like you and me, you are bribing me and I am very happy to it, and you are also very happy to bribe me. So you are getting benefit, I am also getting benefit. There are coercive corruptions, like you go to a village office to get a certificate. The village officer is saying that you give me this much, then only. You may not be ready to give it, but you are forced to give it. That is coercive corruption. But You need to say collusive corruption, one dimension, that may be functional also, coercive may be functional also, coercive corruption that is not functional in society. So that you can use Marxian perspective to explain. Even in case of the first one also, the capitalists are paying, no, because they are making profit out of that. So you can use any perspective here. You can say it is functional for some people, it is dysfunctional for the others. It is because of the capitalist mindset. It is because of making profit. All these you can write.
Okay, sir.
Anything else?
So I have doubt in answer writing.
Tell me.
So for alienation related question, should we have to explain all the types of alienation?
Yes. Any standard answers or any standard write-ups of alienation, if you take, not necessarily question or UPSC or anything, you will see these 4 levels of alienation. Alienation from the process of production, product, self-alienation and fellow workers. And what is the problem in writing that? You will never forget all those 4.
No problem, sir. Yesterday I have practiced some questions, so just that is.
Even in 10 marker, you need to write that. At least one line you have to talk.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
What else? We will start with the next thinker tomorrow. So it's done. Any doubts? Can we stop here? Ankita, you were saying something? Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So who exactly are the postmodernists that they are referred to in the notes here?
Postmodernist, all those people who are coming, after this Parsons time. We are having this idea of initially macro, giving importance to society, then micro, like Weber, phenomenologist, etc. Then Parsons and Merton, they are combining, integrating both. So they are kind of modernist. Then after that, whoever is coming like postmodernist.
Okay, and the postmodern society that we are talking about is the society after the capitalist society.
No. Capitalism is not over. No, still capitalism is there. Within capitalism, only postmodern society. Not postmodern society. Postmodern society is obviously capitalism only. But when we are talking about postmodernist, we are talking about the thinkers, theorists. They are during 1960s, 70s. Those who are writing in 1970s, 80s, etc. Okay.
1970s.
Yeah, 70s, 80s, 90s, even now also. The contemporary sociologists, all these are same. After ethnomethodology, after phenomenologist, or after Parson.
Right. So, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Even sometimes Parson and Merton also referred to as postmodernist and contemporary sociologist. So see, there is no clear-cut division. Even within modernism, modernist, I have told you, father of modern sociology is Weber, Durkheim, etc. So still there is no such divisions. We don't want to go with a clear-cut such divisions. But we are referring to postmodernist who's coming up with some new ideas, new modifications. Like when we talk about Merton, I have told you he introduced neo-functionalism. That's a kind of postmodernist understanding. So those thinkers who's coming late.
Right, sir.
Okay.
So here when we are referring to the sentence that says Marx failed to visualize the postmodern society.
Current society, current capitalism.
Yeah. Okay. So the later part of the
society. Because the capitalism has modified in itself.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? So if you wish, you can write some answers about from Marx. And I've told you to buy that book, New Vishal, previous year question papers. You can get that book and you can see, you can start writing few questions if you want.
Which book?
New Vishal. I had messaged in WhatsApp. New Vishal. Okay. So can we stop here? Yeah, tell me, Arushi.
So while writing the answers, it is very difficult to frame our thoughts and what we have learned in very crisp form. So I have gone through some multiple questions from the previous book that you have said, but while I was attempting the question, I was not able to frame the questions properly. Even I was also not content with my answers.
See, content is there with everyone, and this is a problem that everybody is facing. Not only you, whatever you write, you will not be satisfied. In Marx also we have discussed man is perpetually a dissatisfied animal, right?
No,
So,
not in that way. Just I do not know how to frame my words. There is so much to write, and we have to put in very limited words. There's word limit, so like that.
you start writing with time, it will be okay. You will be in a position to write, and you need to know what all things need to be incorporated in that particular answer. I've told you already, each and every dimension of that particular question need to be there. So it is very easy for you to write. Even if you have problem in content with respect to one part, you can write many dimensions and you can overcome that. So that is one strategy that you can use. I always, if the question is about functionalist perspective, I always keep on writing the conflict also. Different perspectives I'll bring in, even if question is confined to this. And paper one, it is very easy and you can get marks for that. You start writing, we will see that. And those who are writing prelims this year, focus on prelims. Just attend the class and you don't worry too much about sociology. We can do it again after the prelims. Don't try to write answers or anything at this point of time. It's not required. Prelims is more important. You have to pass prelims. If you pass prelims, I can help you a lot in clearing mains. Mains is easy. Mains is difficult, prelims is easy, but the fact that more people are in for prelims and 0.1% intake is there, so in that context it is difficult. Can we stop here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll stop here. We'll see you tomorrow.